one of the pictures I thought to select, and before the reel, if you see it on IG, I saw that cup, and but it kind of had your head covered up, and that was the only reason. So first of all, let me welcome none other than Man of Steel. Some of you all may know him, and if you don't, you probably should. So for those of you all that already know him, Man of Steel to me is one of the motivators that is here, right here on this app, on this platform. If you ever get the opportunity to hear him, you understand, speak on certain topics or items of conversation, you get to see and hear that different perspective, and that's one of the most important things to always do, is be able to hear and listen to a different perspective than your own. And if it makes sense, you understand, that's what's most important. And sometimes if it doesn't, listen to it. That's the problem. I think sometimes we filter through information too fast, and we do not get, as into what I say, the meat and potatoes. So
Right.
please skimming the soup off the top and get down to the meat. All right, Minister, if you'd like to talk a little bit about yourself just before we get started, by all means, please intro.
Uh, yeah, I've been on the app on and off for a couple years. Um, I'm a multiple business owner, as a lot of you guys know. Um, I think that what you just said is very important, the listening part. A lot of times we don't listen, with the idea of somebody may say something that we never heard before.
Yeah,
So a lot of times we're listening as soon as we hear something that's, something we've heard before, we tone everything out thinking that it has nothing of value. But we got to understand that a lot of times when people are talking, whether you agree or disagree, information is just information. It don't
yes,
have to sway one way or the other. It's still information, and that makes you a well-rounded person the more information you have. There's no way to get all of it, but you should get a good portion of it. So I try to be attentive when people are talking. You know what I mean, and listen to what they have to say because none of us know it all. So it's very
agreed,
important.
agreed. I definitely agree. So when we're going to go ahead and get started and move forward, I believe the other guests will be here as soon as possible. I did have a conversation with the other guest about 15 minutes ago. So we'll see how that goes before the show. Actually, it was 20 minutes, 24 minutes before the show. With that being said, let's see if everyone makes it okay. However, but I would like to go ahead and get started. And let me start by simply asking this question right here. Is stress in life something you can relate to? And what would you say, a stressful moment in life for you? I see you all.
Well, dealing with stress really pretty much is every day. If you're a parent, you deal with stress every day. Because me being a girl dad, constantly worry about your daughters, constantly over and over. I don't care who they with. My daughters can
Yeah,
get married to a prince and have the military protect them, and I'll still worry. So it's constant worry. Certain situations. A lot of you guys know that some of my background, before was law enforcement. I was in the military. And when you go to war, it's a different type of stress because regardless of what the stress is, you have to still be able to complete the mission. So all stress is not necessarily a bad thing. Sometimes stress can help improve you in different areas. I always say that if you do challenging things outside of the things you do for a living, it makes you better at what you do for a living. So, for example, if you're a lawyer, but you go do hot yoga, that's challenging. You force your way through it, you fight through it, that makes you a better lawyer because now you have an exact parallel to use as it pertains to a turn back moment. So, I think stress could be a good thing. It just depends on how you utilize it moving forward after the stress because
agreed.
everything could be a tool. So, that's how I feel about stress.
I, li- I like the fact that you used other situations to, to reference to, depending on what you may be dealing with, as for instance, the lawyer and then hot yoga. And that's one of the things I definitely have to agree concerning stress is that you're able to take one life situation dealing with things and be able to apply it somewhere else, and
Yes.
it makes sense. So
Hmm.
the thing about it, when we look at it from a perspective of, what stress is, it's not just limited into one way of thinking or seeing things. You can't just say, as the man of steel was talking, you can't just say that it's bad, you understand, because it could be for your good too. That is like the benefit. Is that the pros of cons of stress? Once again, welcome you all to Morning Coffee, No Sugar, No Cream. I see you all as you're entering. Guru, Miss Chocolate. All right, let me continue here. So, with that being said, this is one of the quotes. I love to do this based off of quotes and things, people that I come across. But this particular person here, it's amazing when you listen to things that say, other people say, and sometimes it's like they just cut a light on in your head because you don't always think of these things, and sometimes we forget as much as we know. That's the funny thing. Then we remember. Oh, I remember that. All right, so let me get going. So, particular author slash writer, profound writer, I would say, that I'm using this subject today as a particular quote, and civil rights activist, is none other than Maya Angelou. Please just request the box and I'll bring you up. Is Maya Angelou. And the quote from Maya Angelou is this right here. She says, "What you're supposed to do when you don't like a thing is change it. If you can't change it, change the way you think about it. Don't complain." All right, we got one other guest. Please request a box, Ms. J, when you get the opportunity to, and we'll continue for there. But right now, man of steel, please, if you'd like to provide any feedback on that.
Yes, I think everything goes back to mindset. Even if you look at how people use the word if, usually the consequences of the if is on the negative side of it. Anytime somebody says if, you can always counteract that by saying, okay, what if this doesn't work? You can always say, well, what if it does work? So I think it depends on what you're looking at, but mindset always plays a role. That's usually the most important thing because that it tells you how you're going to view the aftermath of whatever that stressor is. So you can look and say, this preparing me for the next step. This is preparing me for the next situation. This is preparing me for what not to do next time. So a lot of times it's going to go down to how you view it and what your mindset is as it pertains to whatever you're going through. And typically it's hard for people to keep a positive mindset if they continue to go to different types of stressors because they don't understand the energy that you're giving out comes back too. So they're causing their own issue. And a lot of times they don't understand that. They keep giving out negative energy and it keeps coming back and they just think the world's stepping on their neck. They don't even realize that they're the ones that's actually causing the issue as it pertains to the energy that they're giving out. So a lot of times the mindset is very important based on how fast you get through it and how fast you get to the next point as it pertains to the aftermath of the stress.
I'm loving this. So let me take a brief moment here, all, to welcome Top Badge, Beautiful Jay. If you all paid attention to any of the reels, I thought we had a very awesome and great panel this morning, and I'm gonna tell you why. Of course, because of people's backgrounds, that's always most important, and the conversations and things that they say along the way that you listen to, and you be like, "Oh yes, intriguing." I might say. So, welcoming none other than Miss Beautiful J here, who is actually a top badge a few months ago, I believe. I try to pay attention to those things, well, a little bit more than a few months, but nevertheless, the fact that she has achieved that is pretty awesome within itself. With that being said, Beautiful J is a streamer on here that, like Man of Steel right there, gives that insight. I love the fact that she's in the business of helping people. That is one of the most important things to me. Ms. J, would you like the opportunity just to address yourself a little bit, and then I'll recap a little bit just so we can continue.
Sure. So, I'm beautiful Jay. I'm ex-military as well. So salute, salute, United States Navy. So, I'm a counselor in real life and peer support, and I help veterans with their benefits. So, y'all people, y'all listening? Y'all ain't 100%. Reach out, reach out. So, also, I like to do a thing called Let's Talk About It. So, I'm all about just trying to help people. You know what I mean? That's what I do on here. I get on here, enjoy myself, have Club J. But in between, oh, you taking notes? Okay. In between, you guys can always come in and, speak to me, ask me, anything that you want, and I can try to help you out.
All right, thank you, Miss J. I appreciate that. And once again, welcome to Morning Coffee, no sugar, no cream. Let me also say in this particular moment, once again, remember, be mindful of your language and respectful of other people's opinions. For those that are in the stream as well as those that are on the panel as well. You may comment as you wish, but as I said, just be respectful. That's the key thing about it. With that being said, just a quick catch up for you, beautiful Jay. The simple question was: is stress in life something that you can relate to, and
Mhm.
what has been a very stressful moment in life, possibly for you? However, I followed that up with the quote by none other than Maya Angelou. I think you came in right as I was giving that quote, but I will restate it again. And the simple thing about it is, what you're supposed to do when you don't like a thing is change it. Okay, that's fine. We understand it. But it says if you can't change it, change the way you think about it. Don't complain. So please, what would you give as your feedback? One, if you, I'll recap the quote if necessary. But once, is life, is stress something in life that you can honestly say, you relate to? And what has been a particular, if you think about it, a stressful situation for you? Thank you, Granny.
Well, let me see. Transitioning from the military to a civilian world was my first stressor. Yeah. Maneuvering between a 20-year marriage, military dual marriage. Yeah. And then going to a divorce. Yeah. That was pretty, stressful, whatever. But I find the most stressful is maneuvering tag. It's very important that people need to realize you come on here for a reason, you know, and don't let nobody take nothing from you or discourage you. If you have a purpose, stick to your purpose. Your purpose to come on here, enjoy yourself, then don't let nobody else break you down. And yeah, you do gotta change up things from time to time because doing the same thing over and over again is insanity.
I like that you brought it home. I mean, that's a reality check. You know what I mean? We talk about so many things in life, but that is definitely bringing it home right there. And what would you say along the lines of the quote by Maya Angelou? What you're supposed to do when you don't like something is change it. However, if you can't change it, change the way you think about it. Don't complain.
Oh, I love it. And I add that to you is catch it, check it, change it. Everybody look at the videos, catch it, check it, change it. So what you need to do is check yourself and say, like, for example, you don't like a certain thing. Say, okay, this overthinking. I need to stop overthinking. Say, okay, I'm catching myself overthinking. Then you can catch yourself doing that. Then check yourself. If I do it this way, that's gonna happen. If I do it this way, that's gonna happen. And then you change it. Catch it, check it, change it. Yeah.
I, I
I
caught
got
it.
the name from my Angelou. Mhm.
Catch it, check
Check
it,
it,
change
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 it.
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 Mhm.
I love it. I love it. I love it. So yeah, I'm not going to even try to break it down. I'm just going to write it down. I don't know what y'all going to do, but
Or,
I'm going to
or
write it
the
down.
smallest thing is be like Ice Cube. Check yourself before you wreck yourself because it's bad for your what?
Health
Health.
always.
There you go.
Health. Thank you. All right, just once again, welcoming those that are just coming in into the stream to Morning Coffee, no sugar, no cream. As you see, we have none other than, I'm gonna have to start with ladies first, the beautiful Miss J. I love the fact that she gets to put beautiful in front of her name because that's like an introduction in itself. Yeah, don't just call me Jay, call me beautiful Jay. All right, with that being said, Miss, and then don't forget the top badge on top of it. The man of steel also, that was very important to me too, because there comes a symbol, there comes an icon in a sense with the name that he has chosen here. And I'm pretty sure it is more deeply rooted than just Superman, if you understand. And I know a lot of people may think of it, but if you listen to what people say sometimes, and as he gave a description of his background when he said man of steel, he did actually tell us. It's just a matter of people paying attention. All right, people. With that being said, thanking you all once again. Just be mindful and respectful of your opinions and things as we continue along the way in the conversation. Now, let me ask you this. With that being said, I've heard you both beautiful Jay. You make the point of saying, hey, I've a lot of the situations I've dealt with in stress, you understand, coming from one, a transition from the military, which again, I can relate. Man, I love it when you guys come on here and you don't have to know everybody's, the deep roots of their background, but when you come in and I listen to these topics and things, be like, I can relate to that. I can relate, to being one in the Navy, 24 years retired. I can relate, you understand, to having a marriage, you understand, while being in the military and dual military as well. I can relate. I can also relate to, unfortunately, the divorce. It happens, but that's okay. It happens. That's the thing, and stress, like many things in life, it happens. What do you do afterwards once it happens? With that being said, I can relate to a lot of the things that you talked about, which I thought was pretty awesome experience. However, it's the differences in experience you understand when we consider what is and what is not our stressor. For instance, Man of Steel, as he was, talking about the situation concerning daughters. I'm a father, so I can relate, especially having three daughters. Yeah, I get it. And it doesn't matter if the armed National Guard or what military branch is standing there in the way of protection. If you are not the one, you understand, it's not good enough. And as a man, I can relate to that because you think of how you treat people and how you may want your child to be treated as well. So it makes you more cognitive in thinking, man, I gotta think about this because you never know how it may come back, how you may end up being in a situation, even if there is a point of where because of how you treated someone, it affects your child. So you do the best that you can no matter what. Is it stress nonetheless? Bars. Yes, it is. Somebody write that down. Is it stress nonetheless? Those are bars. All right, people. We're going to continue with this and let's just move on a little bit forward here. Now, let me say this. I've asked you how, and you've given me somewhat the wheres and to. What is something that you say in relation to day right now would you consider to be a stressor? Now, I get the father, I get the past experience, but what about today? What would you relate to today, even if it's right here on tag? You understand? Oh, by all means, Lady J, please. I mean, beautiful J.
I'm gonna stop changing my name so I don't confuse y'all. Um, you said as it relates to tag. Well, for one, let's speak on the relationships. There's different type of relationships on this app, and I think that people need to realize what exactly are they looking for. You know, if you're
Oh,
looking for a relationship, you know, people are going to tell you who they are and expect that. Do a little bit more digging before you make a decision. I think that people shouldn't be sharing their numbers and stuff on here because there's so much drama. Just realize, what do you want when you come here? Are you coming to find like a platonic relationship? Or are you looking for a real relationship? So just know what that is and don't dibble and dabble in both because I think it become confusing and that of course it can really hurt your stream as well. You know, if you're trying to date somebody, then your person comes in and messes it up. Otherwise, if you are or you are ready to date, I think it's important to let somebody know, hey, look, I'm a streamer, and this is what I do, and that's what I do now. I'm like, hey, look, I had to show up real quick. I'm like, look, I'm a top streamer, and they're like, what that mean? I'm like, look, I do this. This is what I do. I do this, this, and this. So I keep it respectful, and they're like, because I let them know because some people get on here and they just think that everybody's up here shaking their butt and doing their thing. Yeah, I shake my butt, but respectfully, respectfully. So, so I think it's just, like if you go into a relationship, let a person know, don't even go into a relationship outside of here and you trying to stream and think it's going to work if you didn't explain that. If you didn't explain, hey, look, I'm a streamer. This is what I do. Are you okay with this? Because now they trying to take you off of the app or whatever. I mean, you got to just know what you want and you need to be in control of that.
agreed. I like that. I love the fact that she touched on the fact. I need you all to know that beautiful Jay is. She loves to dance. She really does. But it's actually pretty cool. If you can imagine the excitement to me that little children get when they're just all out having fun. That's It's really about somebody just enjoying life and just really having fun. I love that. It's like a quality because some people forget sometimes to simply just have fun. Man of Steel.
Yeah, I mean, most of my stress present day is usually business oriented, but as it pertains to tag, like look, tag is an acquired taste. You know what I mean? You got certain demographics and certain types of people on tag, and some people say space is drama. They love drama.
Yeah,
Whether it's real or they create it. If you look at a lot of things on tag, if you hear about drama, usually you hear the same names in the middle of it because they love it. There's nothing that they like more than to see people crash and burn. They'll bring it to your live and say, "Hey, I heard this," and I'm like, "Why are you coming to?" One thing about me, people already know, I don't care. Like I don't. There's no need to tell me because I could care less about what's going on. I'm all about improving and helping people. All the things that keep you running on a treadmill and going nowhere, that don't do nothing for me. I'm a very mission oriented person. When you go in the military, it's always mission first. And that's how I do everything within my life. Mission first. Does this help me get through the mission? No, then it's white noise to me. It doesn't matter at all to me whatsoever. I mean, it does. I forget it even happened the second after I hear it because it doesn't help anything move forward. So tag is just an acquired taste. You got to have the right people around you. If you're on tag constantly, you got to have the right supporters. You got to have the right bouncers. You got to have all of these things that work in conjunction with each other. Because if you got the right supporters, they'll bring the right people to your stream. You got the right bouncers, all you got to do is stream. They'll make sure everything is going. The content is good. They'll make sure they participate. They kick out people that needs to be kicked out. They'll watch the yard. All of these things have to go into conjunction. Everything is a spoken of will. So for tag, it just depends on what your goal is on tag. But the drama is going to come with it. So you got to know whatever lane you choose, you got to realize what's going to come with that lane. And for me, I can just ignore things. You know what I mean? I can just block somebody, don't even tell them why. They know why, and just go on about my business. Like that's just me. I like to see people win. Especially my people. We got enough stressors off of the app, so we don't need to create more on the app. That means we won't get peace nowhere we go. So I don't indulge in that whatsoever. Some people try to put me in the middle of it. I'll be off for a month, and I'll be like, I haven't been on in a month. How my name get in the middle of something? But I just move on. That's how I deal with that.
you know what? I love the fact that we ignore, but we have to pay attention to at the same time. And we talk about the how there can be stress in life whether you're on or off the app. That's the thing. This is the reality that people I think tend to have a tendency to ignore a lot of right now. That a lot of us or a lot of people like to come on and say, hey, it's just a game, it's just entertainment and things. But guess what? The people behind and that you see in all of this are real. People have real life situations going on every day. Some of them you understand, and I think we all know can be a lot easier than others. And for some of the things that some people dealing with, be like, are you serious? That's stressing you out? Stop playing. Stop playing. Come on now. No. In the greatest part about it, you understand, is that someone can see that and begin to have that discussion with you and talk about it and be like, let me show you how much easier it is to deal with it. And I think that's one of the things we cannot ignore is yet that we deal with stress. We all experience it. Man of Steel said, hey, it's a daily thing. And no matter what, this is the point I think that we don't do sometimes. We look at the situation differently when we see ourselves and we just look around. This is, that micro view. But sometimes we have to back out to get a bigger picture. And there's that paradigm shift. That was one of the words when I tell you I learned that word and what I can remember one day in the military, they had a class called TQL or TQM. In one aspect, it was called total quality leadership, total quality management. I love that word because when you think of that word right there, it promotes change. And whenever I feel like I'm going through something or dealing with something, you understand, I take that word as my basis, you understand, for how I'm going to shift. And that's one of the things that people have to learn how to do is simply shift. Just stop thinking because you have stress in life, you're stuck. That's the one thing you have to remember. There's somewhere you want to go or somewhere you want to get. And sometimes we look at it from a perspective where it looks as if there isn't a wide tunnel, it's a narrow tunnel. And sometimes you have to get yourself from the wide end of the tunnel to the narrow end to look back and see how much opportunity there is. All right. With that being said, let's keep it moving here. I'm appreciating the feedback and the sharing that you all are doing. Now, the greatest this is my second one. I love to throw second because I love to pair, you understand. And this is my pairing quote right here. It says, the greatest weapon against stress is our ability to choose one thought, you understand, over another. And that is by the father of American psychology. Oh, Miss Jane, like, oh, okay. Yeah, the father of American psychology, William James. He was considered to be one of the first people to promote, education along the lines of psychology in the US. And I don't know if Miss Jane might correct me, but go ahead, beautiful Jay.
No, no, this is your thing. I'm just coming in to add to.
Okay, no, no, go ahead, please.
No, but what's your perspective? What you want me to place on
Oh,
to what?
so concerning that particular, and we're talking about, okay, so just looking at from the perspective of stress, whether it be finance, you understand, because I know that's one of the biggest things. Let me add a little bit more. Whether it be finance, whether it be relationships, the thing about it is we're going to have relationships. They're going to work or they're not. We're going to have situations where with our even with our finance, and let me explain. I know I sent you all something, so let me recap a little bit, back up, retract. All right, man. Two things I know I promoted to you all was the finance and the relationship, and that is very important because I think that on a day-to-day basis people are dealing with finance and they're dealing with relationship. Finance can affect relationship. One of the biggest things I think we look at and have to know. We've come through a pandemic where a lot of people got started right here on the app, 2020, 2021, 22, 23, the whole component. Some people lost jobs. Some people created jobs. Some people didn't know what to do. Some people are still stuck today. A lot of relationships were dissolved, resolved, and broken up in so many ways. A lot of relationships were created. So whether it was a relationship, you understand, that possibly resulted into two people getting together to be a couple, or even possibly onto marriage, or just people that made good connections. I think they're all relevant. But for the people that have not been able to successfully, you understand, climb out of that position. Some of the people that are still stuck there today, you understand. Now I'll kind of rephrase this quote, and maybe it'll help us a little bit more. The greatest weapon against stress is our ability to choose one thought over another, as if to me it's one step at a time. So, Man of Steel, if you go first this time.
Yeah, as it pertains to that, I think of that like people that choose not to get a tattoo because they want to have the ability to have a more enlightened idea later. So they don't want to have to put something on them and say, "Well, I have a better idea later," but now it's too late. Most people don't. Most of the people that were stuck and still stuck now, they were stuck before the pandemic. Because during the pandemic, there's been more millionaires created during the pandemic than any other time in history. Because people was forced to make a decision. Either I don't eat, my kids don't eat, or I'm on the street. So I got to do something. And a lot of people realized that they had more ability than they thought they did because they was forced to fight out the corner. But I always tell people your thoughts is always going to dictate your movement and where your destination is. So for me, dealing with stress, I look for the better thought to say, okay, what's my goal? That's where my thought always go. See, when you exercise and trying to get into shape, you put stress on your body, but you wouldn't say that's bad. So stress is not always bad. So for me, I look at the goal. I'm tired. I'm this and I'm that, but my goal is to lose 15 pounds or to drop body fat. So my thoughts always go to wherever the mission is, whatever the goal is. For me in business, I want to have a certain effect on a certain demographic, a community, and everything else, and have a better life for me and for my daughters. And ultimately, my mother had me when she was in high school, and I have only two daughters. So my ultimate goal really is for my mother to realize that everything she put on a back burner to actually raise me wasn't for nothing, and for my daughter to be proud that I'm their father. Those are my two ultimate goals as it pertains to business, how I conduct myself, how I treat people. So those are the goals that I have. So when people say you should take a break, you're working too hard, I say you don't have the goal I have.
Ooh,
So you can't necessarily tell me that I'm working too hard or I'm working and doing too much. So that's what I go to every time there's a stress or anything else. How is this going to affect my ultimate goal? And if it's going to hinder it, I move away from it. If it's going to help it, then I embrace it. That's how I deal with anything that as it pertains to the quote. And my thoughts immediately go to that.
I love that. Now let me hit you with a place that I know I feel like you stay. What do you do? Would you have in everything that you just summed up? Would you have a particular quote that goes with that?
It's quite a few of them, but one of my favorite quotes is one is never afraid of the unknown, one is afraid of the known coming to an end. That's
Ooh,
one of my favorite quotes. Most of the time, we don't fear what we don't know. We fear what we already do know coming to an end because that's where our comfort zone is. So I don't necessarily fear starting a business and not becoming successful. I fear not getting that first to 15 check anymore because now there's nobody to blame but me if it doesn't work.
I like
So
that.
I like that one. And another quote I always use is the constant assertion of belief is an indication of fear. So that's how I look at it.
Thank you. I like those. Matter of fact, you might have to share those with me because I think it's one of the most amazing things to do is to listen to what helps to motivate other people and carry them on. And some we always I feel like people sometimes get caught up into feeling like thinking I got it, and you can sit and watch things spiral in front of you out of control, and yet you could consistently say I got it, instead of just admitting to something being a little bit out of your control and simply saying help.
I fall victim to that.
Beautiful Jay, if I may come back to you now, and
Sure, after all of this. No, let me see if I can tap in. Okay. But it's awesome. Okay, I'm gonna start with the mission. Okay. Well, no, I'm gonna start with you said relationships. So communication, um, sex, and finance is what builds and is has effect on relationships. So you got to have at least two or three. You don't have to always have all of them, but you
yeah,
need to work within them. Okay. And I totally believe in that because like I think the end of my marriage of 20 years was the transition from the military to civilian world. Like I was a trophy wife, and then he felt like he couldn't keep the situation from the trophy wife. So yeah, finance can be there. So you got to be careful with how you start things, is how you end things, you know. And then tapping on what you were saying, like add that in. I don't know if you can hear me.
say again, beautiful Jay.
Oh, I'm getting an alert. It's alert coming on my phone. All right, it's gone.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
I thought it was mine.
Yeah, yeah. I think we're in the same area, but yeah.
Okay.
Anyway, so yeah, sex, communication, and finance are big things for relationships. And with not the right thing, not having enough money can cause problems. And not having great communication can cause problems. So like I said, I take in from what
Oops. Took her out.
Most
All right,
welcome.
we'll give beautiful Jay a second to see if she can rebox. I'm not exactly sure what happened, but I do know it's doing a little bit of rain and storming here. With that being said, I wanted to I don't want to throw this out too soon. So let me quickly say this. Welcome again, once of all, to you all who are just joining or who has just joined a few seconds ago, and I missed you to the fifth episode of Morning Coffee, No Sugar, No Cream. What are we talking about today in particular? We're talking about stress. However, in particular, we're talking about, you understand, possibly financial stress or relationship stress. Just two of the things to keep in mind as we continue the conversation. And voila, she has reappeared, none other than beautiful Jay. Please.
Thanks. Like I was saying, let me see if I can recap it. I was just saying, when you're going into any relationship, you should have a mission. You should know what you want out of that relationship, and you shouldn't, um, what do you call it, settle. So I think a lot of situations that people get in for like the wrong reason. Oh, this person looks great. You know what I mean? I can have fun with them, but you have to also look at what your situation is and how you guys can add to you. So, like, first of all, make sure y'all listen to that song "Vito." Add to you, okay? Just say.
You, I like that.
Yeah, but when you're in a relationship, it's a team sport. You know what I mean? It's not just one person. You shouldn't, if you don't have the right finances, then you need to be able to add your finances together so that you don't put yourself in a situation because then that's going to have, you know, a financial issue. So you can always, do things to try to improve your situation, which starts with communication to try to get that done, you know? And I'm also going to say, because it's important to me as a counselor, people need to not play with sex. Sex is important. Sex can be a stress reliever. Because I deal with clients and they'll get mad at each other and they be like, they try not to. I'm like, and so how is that helping you? Did you get your stress relief? You know, plus it helps with communication and to build a connection. When you guys start distancing yourself from different things, that's how um, intimate cheating starts. Things the distant. I want to get a divorce because y'all have no more communication. Y'all have no more connection. So keep up with your connections. You know, you're funny.
I agree.
And
Sex.
just stress in general. You need to learn how to talk to your person. You know, if you upset, go back to that catch it, check it, change it, and see, am I going to proceed this way? I'm going to proceed that way. You can omit a lot of your bullcrap, you know. And I'm gonna say, I believe in deep breathing. Okay, so I tell people like it could be relationship or it could be parenting. Why don't you take a deep breath? And while you're taking a deep breath, catch it, check it, change it so that you can say it in the right way. Plus, it stops you from being reactive, which causes people to have a lot of issues a lot of times. They respond reactively. You just said, I'm going to say it to you too. And also let people win. You do not have to win every battle. Pick and choose your battle. If you pick and choose your battle, you'll be much better. Because what's the overall mission and the goal? To be happy. So look at it that
Mm.
way and do it that way for that part. Hmm.
Ooh, oh, you just hit
Real.
some pride, some ego, some selfishness. That was like a gut punch. And some people, I hope everyone heard what she was saying, especially in final there, the part about you don't have to win all the time. And I say that because we capped on this in last week's morning coffee. And the conversation part was, you understand, about, I don't lose. And the part about it is, if you understood, to me what she said was, sometimes in not trying to with ego, or this whole thing about who it takes to add to you, you can still win by the experience of what happens in the result. You see, just to prove someone wrong in an argument, in a relationship, or something of that nature, doesn't get you anywhere in the end when it breaks up your relationship, but you really care about this person. So why can't they win? You understand, one of the arguments, at least one, and you still have a beautiful relationship in the end. This is what beautiful Jay started out by saying, that it's a team. It's a team. It's teamwork. And I think that's one of the things that we have to keep in mind above all is that it is teamwork. We can never forget that it's team. It's not an individual thing. Once we get stuck into thinking it's just about us against the world or against the person that would know we're in it together. All right. So what would you let me go back to this and beautiful Jay, if I may come back to you. Comments, let me see. And my quote is personal one. Oh,
Oh, okay. I'll say it since I don't want to interrupt you.
no, no.
No, and my quote is education is key.
Hmm.
So you have to educate yourself in different ways, even educate yourself about yourself, you know? And when I say
Agree.
that, I'm saying for like example, in my previous relationship or marriage, my first marriage, I was a partner. I believed in the 80-20 rule. But what I didn't do is I had a part in that. I was not a good companion. We wasn't equally yoked, and I didn't like sports. But I love them Cowboys now. I love them Cowboys now. No, but I had to educate myself to learn to be compatible to my partner. That way I can work and we can be best friends and we avoid a lot of other bullcrap. And so yeah, that's what I mean by education is key. When you know better,
That's
you do
tricky.
better.
That's
Agreed.
tricky though. That's tricky. The sex part especially. Because some people substitute the ability to have to do work to progress. They use sex as the substitute. So then the whole relationship becomes about sex instead of the work you need to do to progress. They use sex as a
Mm,
band-aid for something that needs surgery. So the whole thing becomes about sex and then never about the work to progress and to become better to move forward. Because now it becomes their safe space to say, oh, when all else fails, let's have sex. So they got that momentary, feel better for a moment, but then they come back after the shower with the same situation.
yeah.
So sometimes, that could be tricky too because it'll substitute what you need to do to progress forward. So that's tricky too.
Ooh. Before I give it back to you, beautiful Jay, and because let me say this. I know you named off key things initially, and both are talking about it now is the communication and the intimacy, the sex. And I think that's an important component too. We use the word sex oftentimes, but we forget the intimacy. And what people fail to realize to me about intimacy is, the intimacy is the part of the sex you understand before it becomes physical, if that makes sense to anyone. Intimacy is that closeness you can have with that person, although not physical. It could be more psychological, it could be more emotional. And if you can stimulate a person you understand emotionally, if you can stimulate them psychologically, you understand the physical is just an added bonus. But once you can get to that point right there where you can have those conversations and realize the importance of one another, as in Beautiful Jay saying, let the partner win sometime. Can't always be you on top. The other person has to feel equal in that relationship because if they do not, you understand, it is like a beat down to them and not the growth that I believe that Man of Steel was talking about. We have to take those things in note and consideration. All right. Beautiful Jay, I'll come back to you and give you an opportunity just in discussion of what we talked about today. If there's anything particularly, that you would just love to say in the way of, advice, just dealing with stress and, stress, whether it be financially, stress, whether it be from a relationship as a whole, what do you offer in the way of advice just concerning and summing things up from the conversation that we've had today?
Okay, well, I guess again it would have to be education is key. So good communication. So let's say you with a partner and y'all having some financial problems, y'all need to talk about it. They be relaxed and say, hey, look, A, B, C, D. It may not always equal up to adding to E, but y'all might have to end up going to F. As the businessman up here, if y'all work together as a team, then y'all could probably possibly come to a conclusion. And it shouldn't be just one sided, no narcissistic situations because men and women can both be narcissistic. Um, I mean, just really talking. Talking is what it is. people fail to talk, you know? And then
Ooh.
also the like you said, intimacy. It doesn't have to necessarily be like bang, 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 bang. It can also be that, are y'all still hugging? Are y'all still going on date night once a week? You know? Are y'all taking time out? I like to do once a week. Hey, how was your week? How was your day? Have a safe place where you guys can talk about things and it can be okay, you know? And then always get with that tabling that if it's not gonna work out with this conversation, oh my bad,
Oh, no, no,
then
no.
table it. What you gonna say?
I love what you're saying. I actually wanted to ask you a question. You hit an element right there, a safe space. What would you consider to be a safe space for communication?
Okay. Coming from Man of Steel's part of you, safe space used to be the bedroom to me. You know what I'm saying? Because I don't believe it. I go to bed upset. You guys make it up. I believe it. You know, I'm a Libra. You know what I'm saying? Hey, let's argue this way. Let's not argue that way. But I've learned in counseling that ain't always good because people be arguing big time. And I don't want that space to be a bad space. So I think y'all need to talk outside on the couch or something so that y'all don't make that situation bad. Okay. But yeah, it's just anywhere that you guys are comfortable, you know, talking at. And then, but it's what you call a safe space. Y'all have to come to communication. Hey, look, I want to talk. But if we see it going in the opposite direction, I want us to table it. And also give them opportunity to call what they want. If they don't want to call it table and they want to call it purple, make a mixed communication, make an agreement where y'all both agreeing to do this. And that's what's going to make it a safe space. And then y'all talk about what is and you move forward. You don't go backwards with all the bull crap because going backwards is always going to cause problems. Move forward.
Ooh. All right. Man of Steel, as we begin to wrap up here, please, anything that you will offer, because yeah, I love what you're saying because it
Put
gets
it
to
back on
be.
again. We'll come back.
It get hey,
Teamwork. Make the dream
I'm
work.
cool. Hey, when I tell you this was like a super team, I mean, I thought about that as I was putting the icon, the badge on yours, and the Man of Steel. If you look, if you could, please go check out the IG. I created a whole reel for you guys, and I thought it was pretty cool. You know, it's funny that it's raining here today, and I won't even tell you everything. But with that being said, Man of Steel, your words in summary here.
Yeah, I mean, I would say the beautiful Jay when she said about the sex, it's not that the sex is bad. That could be, a good thing if you're dealing with a stressor. It's only bad if it substitute, the work to progress. That's the only time when it's bad. You know what I mean? But as I would say with as far as communication, you know, you got to be willing sometimes to understand that, the results of the communication matters. And
Hmm.
you can't let your ego get in the way of learning something. So sometimes if you communicate, like I know plenty of people I've done business with, I've known all my life that they won't have information on certain topics, but refuse to listen to you and you could be an expert. They will argue you up and down because they can never see themselves as a student. At the very little, they can see themselves as a teacher's aide. So they can have one foot on each side. So they can pick and choose when they want to listen and when they don't. So the best thing I would say for you to do for communication is when if you have an argument, you come back with the next conversation and talk about what you did wrong first. That way, they don't come back to you to say what you did wrong. You've already admitted and you apologize. Now, if they don't do the same and give you the same courtesy, you might want to reconsider dealing with that person. Because that's a person that can't say that they're wrong at anything. So I would say, as far as that, that's the best way to communicate. You got to understand that people are going to have different perspectives. You got to understand that people are going to view things differently a lot of times because they have their own journey and they have their own walk. But you got to be willing to listen to them. And if you're not willing to take tutelage from people that may have more information in what you're talking about, you might want to be careful because they may step back and say, you take the reins and now you have to take the responsibility of what happens. So it might be best to continue to learn and take the tutelage. Like I've been in business for a long time. I call guys that's not even been in business longer than me to get advice. because none of us have all the answers. So you have
Yeah.
to be willing to listen to the other party and be attentive. Actually listen to what they're saying and don't respond to them, respond to what they said. A lot of times when people communicate, they're going back and forth with the person and not the points.
Mm-hmm.
So the
Mm-hmm.
person who's making a point, they're arguing back with the person rather than the point that they made. So now it comes until somebody has to win and somebody has to lose. Instead of who make the best point, who has the most information, and what's the best way to move forward. That's not one person. That's not going to be one person every single time. But whoever does that, see, even for us as men and women, we communicate different. Men, we're more facts. We like, what's the problem? Let's fix it. Move on. We're typically more that way. My sisters, and instead of whatever, when they talk to me about stuff, it's everywhere. And I just be like, Renee, focus. Focus, Renee. Let me know what's the problem. What you ate for breakfast this morning has nothing to do with the problem. I don't need to know that. Let me know what's going on. So I just look at it that way. Stress comes with life. Nobody promised us it was going to be easy. At the same time, stay focused on your goal. Stay focused on what you're trying to accomplish. If whatever you're going through is going to prevent you from getting there, leave it alone. Let it go. Lastly, I'll say a quote that I send to a lot of people. I have a list of people I send quotes to every day. And one of the quotes I sent weeks ago was stop digging through the garbage after you take the can to the curb. When it's time to move on, it's time to move on. Period. Some people keep digging through the trash hoping to get a steak. It's not going to happen. It's okay to move on. It's okay to move forward. It's okay to start over. It's okay. You want 5 more years of that crap? Like, just let it go and move on. Most of us know that when we started tag, the people that we was the closest to, they not there no more. Because every time you hit a new level, you get a top badge or whatever else, it breeds envy. It breeds jealousy because your success is a reminder of their failures. And they just don't realize everything you have to do to get to where you are. So instead of congratulating you, they rather spit in your face for
Oh man. Hey, I felt like in that ending right there, it should have been like Wonder Twins activate. Yo, seriously. Man of Steel, you hit on something that I can speak to from experience and related. Not even a few months ago, we were planning a family event, and I in respect for my elders wanted to go to, to them and say, hey, let's let the younger generation kind of take the reins. You all sit back, and it was all there. It was working. It was happening, but wanted to have a quick, brief bring together of the family. Like, hey, let's talk about the plan. So if you want to take over, and everybody else slide out the way, I mean, come on. So my point in saying that was there was no preparation there. And when there wasn't preparation, people wanted to start attacking. And I said, you know what? It's funny. I did exactly what you said. I said, you know what? I said, if you want to take over, by all means, here, I give it to you. I'm out. And I shut down all communication at that point from that particular subject. Because this is the thing, if you don't offer anything better, why complain? Why be the nuisance? Why be the thorn in the flesh, so to speak, when you don't bring anything better to the situation other than it's not good enough? And this is where teamwork can come. This is what I love about y'all too. I'm gonna tell y'all right now. I love the fact that Beautiful Jay and a lot of her information promoted teamwork to me.
it.
Teamwork. It's about two people, working together. But I love something that even Man of Steel brought to the table here too. It's about self-realization, self-ownership first, self-assessment. You understand? I can go back to this situation, but I first got to really take a look in the mirror to see what I added to it, what I possibly didn't. You understand? And when you put those type of chemistries together, you understand? First, as individuals, people that can look at, You understand the situation that they may have added to, caused, or promoted, but then the realization of, hey, we in this together, the teamwork component. We got to put it together. We have to make it to work. It's a struggle. It's hard. I know you stressed because I'm stressed. That means we stressed. And when we put this stress together and work together to figure out how to get to the other end of the stress, you understand? Wonder Twins powers activated.
Yeah, yeah, that's how
I,
I feel, man. Clark Kent got to turn into Superman before you can start saving people. So
yeah,
you have to be able. Sometimes you got to save yourself first, and then come back get those who deserve it. You know what I
yeah.
mean? You can't lock arms like this trying to get through a doorway that's only fit for you to get through. You got to get through first, and then come back and get your people. And that's just how I view it. I got much love for you, CD. As always, you already know. Beautiful Jay is really nice to be on a panel with you. And I would just like to say this lastly, because I know you want to do a closeout. For everybody that's in the comments and everybody that's watching, for us, as especially for our people or anybody that put themselves in a certain demographic, we know the type of struggles that we have just based off the hues of our skin. It shouldn't be nothing for us to love each other and have more patience and understanding and forgiveness for each other, because we know that we're going to go through a similar struggle, even though it's not the same path. So I've never met CD in person, but I can have love, compassion, and respect for him because I know he's going to go through similar experiences just because of the hue of his skin. So with that alone, we should be able to be more understanding, more forgiving, more passionate, and more supportive of one another, knowing that even though we may have different injuries, we all in the same hospital. So be more understanding of each other, be more passionate of each other, be more forgiving. That's all I had to say.
With that being said, beautiful Jay, did you want to slide anything in there? I know we're at the top of the hour.
Oh, sure, yeah. Um, yeah, I was basically just gonna pretty much say what he said. We need to work on ourselves. I think that's so key. Like they said, when you're in the airplane, another parable. Um, you gotta do what? Put your mask on first.
Ooh.
Because if you put on that child ain't gonna have nobody else there to be back there with them. You already gone. So you gotta take your quick breath, then put it on them. If you gotta share. You know what I mean? So and with that, with your mental health and your stressors, work on you. If you can try to get rid of some of them stresses on your own, go do that. Go see you a counselor or a peer support or a good friend. Also, stop talking to your friends about your relationship and go talk to a professional or somebody outside so they can stop steering you possibly in the wrong direction because they ain't no professional. And if they are a professional, it's against the ethics for them to help you for a reason. So go get help if you need it. Work on yourself, better yourself, then come back and help the relationship and the family. And yeah, teamwork make the dream work. Period.
I'm loving it today, people. So do me a favor for each and every one of you that are still present in the stream. Please reach up and hit the fave box. If you have not faved Man of Steel, if you have not faved Beautiful Jay, it's good to know, quality people that provide quality information, conversation, and stuff that makes sense along the way. Please fave them up. Fave them up. If you have not hit the button to hit them, uh, I don't know anything more to say than, hey, thank you all. I appreciate each and every one of you for being a part of morning coffee, no sugar, no cream. And I'm telling you, this was some straight coffee this morning. That's the best thing to say. It wasn't sugar coated for you. We got some good hard information that came from one the logic of it, and I think also the emotional. Nice combination right there. One, the twins. The power was activated. Thank you all once again for being a part of Morning Coffee, no sugar, no cream. Join me on next week, same time, same channel, right here. And let's see what we have in store. I don't know. I don't even want to allude to anything right now. I'm just going to leave it right there. And I will see you all on the next one. Until then, bye bye.
All right, y'all take care.